So, when is the last time you blamed a situation, another person, or yourself? Did you know that life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it? Well, in this video, I'm going to share with you how to focus on those 90% and how to communicate in ways that lead to resolution, to cooperation, to teamwork, and to growth. My name is Olivia Pinto. I help freedom seekers create abundance and harmony while living the life you truly desire. So if you seek freedom, or if you want to have access to valuable information, tips and tools to create abundance and harmony, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the little bell next to it so you'll get notified every time I post a new video for you. If life is 10% what happens to us and 90% how we react to it, we really need to look at those reactions and how we respond to life. So, what is the difference between reaction, overreaction, and response? And I'd like to give you an analogy from the body, because the body is such a genius machine, if we can call it a machine. So if, for example, the stove is very hot and we put our hand on the stove, we immediately remove it. You see, we don't put it there and we say, I think it's hot. I may even get a second-degree burn, so might as well consider the possibility of removing the hand. No, we just find ourselves removing it. It's as if we see our reaction as we are doing it. We don't think of how to do it prior to doing it. And this is because the body is structured in a way that when the stimuli, when the information enters the nervous system, and there is a recognition of danger, the nervous system keeps everything within the spinal cord and sends the instruction to the arms, the legs, or whichever part of the body to do whatever they need to do in order to avoid any damage. So why is it so important to understand this? Because when the information comes from the external through the nerves into the spinal cord, which is inside our spinal column, and when it's urgent, then the nervous system creates an instruction for the body to do something about it to avoid damage without even going into the higher parts of our nervous system, which is our higher and more advanced parts of the brain. Or in other words, it gives instructions without even going to the thinking centers of the body. So we found ourselves putting the hand on the stove and whoop, removing the hand without having to go through a thinking process. This is a reaction. A response, on the other hand, would reflect much more a chronic pain. For example, a chronic low back pain. I wake up in the morning and I feel stiffness and I feel some pain and I cannot really put my weight evenly on both legs, and I lean more to the right side, and so I already know the situation. I say, okay, what do I do this time to help myself? Shall I book an appointment with my therapist, or maybe I should take a medicine to help myself, or maybe I should do this or that. So the reaction is not as fast as the one when we're in danger. In fact, we're thinking about how to handle the situation. And because it's slower and because we think about it and we look at different possibilities, this is much more similar to a response. So a reaction is very fast and does not include a lot of thinking, and a response is much slower and usually brings more thought into it. So what is an overreaction? An overreaction is an extreme form of reaction, and that is when not only we react without thinking, but the emotional component is even much bigger, and in fact it's often completely out of proportion compared to the situation. So something really tiny can happen and our overreaction will be completely different and unproportionate and very emotional and extreme and dramatic, and that really brings negativity, because not only it's unproductive, but it creates a lot of tension and it's actually bringing even more confrontation. So if we want to be effective communicators, overreacting is really not the route. And we should try to learn how to respond rather than how to react. So we want to include the thinking process, and we want our response to be slower and more thought of. Okay, so now that we understand the difference between those things, let's look into why it is so important to learn how to respond to life, to situations, to people, to ourselves. Because when we respond, we really set up the stage for a very positive outcome, a positive experience. We're much more open, we're much more ready to expand, to grow, to come to resolution, to be more compassionate of the other person, of ourselves, of the situation, and so on. We communicate more effectively, we understand more clearly, we can make selections more clearly, we can make decisions more clearly, and obviously, and one of the most important things, is that we can come to resolutions or to outcomes that are much more harmonious. When we engage in a conversation with someone, we really need to pay attention to two aspects of any conversation. The first is when we listen to the other person. And I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to listen, and how listening is such a skill that is often overlooked or not developed enough. You know, so often I talk to people on the phone, and when it's their turn to speak or to share something, I just listen. And so often I'm asked the same question: hey, are you there? And I say, yeah, of course I'm here. You say, no, because I didn't hear you, so I thought that you were gone or something. And I say, no, I'm just listening to you. You see, the reason I'm sharing with you this experience of mine, and it happens so often, is because people are not used to be listened to. It's something that became so rare, and we're missing on so many opportunities for a better level of communication, for better relationships, for better environments, for a better world from listening. It's so important. I cannot emphasize it enough. In fact, I created a video that addresses just that, and I highly recommend that you watch it. I will leave for you a link above or below this video, so make sure to watch it, because I cannot emphasize how listening is a crucial part of becoming an effective communicator. The second aspect of being a great communicator is when we speak, when we respond, what we communicate to the other person. And this is also very, very important, and we need to master those skills, because otherwise communication will be useless and will create more and more tension and conflict, and we don't want to go there, right? So if we want harmonious outcomes in any encounter or communication or meeting, being a personal meeting or a business meeting, we need to really put a lot of energy, attention, learning process, practice on our communication skills, which are really divided into listening and responding. So, how do we respond properly? Well, here are 6 very simple steps that you can apply, and I will go through each one of them, but you can practice them not necessarily according to the list, but try one and try another one and try a third one and just play with them. But you will see that if you apply them, you will really significantly improve the way that you respond. So, tip number 1 is to maintain eye contact with a person. And by the way, eye contact is effective when you listen, not only when you respond, but in general when you communicate with someone. What happens when you look into someone's eyes is that it creates immediately a mutual sense of trust and respect. So look into their eyes. Don't look around while you answer to them. Don't be distracted with other things. Look into their eyes. Tip number 2, remain calm. No matter what you have to say and no matter how you feel, try to remain calm. And one of the best ways to remain calm is to observe your breathing. Not necessarily to start changing the way you breathe, but to be aware of your breathing, especially your abdominal breathing. When is your body expanding and allowing air to come in, and when is your body relaxing and allowing air to come out. If you focus on your breathing even prior to the conversation, you will immediately feel a sense of relaxation. So make sure you remain calm. Tip number 3, put yourself in their shoes. It's so important. So many times people gave me advice based on their belief systems, based on their attitudes, based on what was best for them, and not based on what was my experience. Remember, it's their experience and not yours. And while you can give advice, and while you can give a different perspective, or you can help them look at it differently, for sure, but remember, you have never had their experience, no matter how similar the situation is, or no matter how you were in the same situation. You never had their experience because you're not them, and they never had your experience because they're not you. So it's so important to remember that when we listen to someone and when we respond to someone. Tip number 4, when you ask questions, try to avoid yes or no questions. So instead of asking, are you feeling good? Yes or no. You can ask, how are you feeling? What's going on? If you ask open questions, not only it gives them the permission to actually speak more than just yes, no, but it also gives them the impression that you're genuinely interested to know what they think about, how they feel about something. You want to know their belief systems, their opinions, their experience, and it allows them to share more, to open up more, and to become a little bit more intimate and close with you with the way they share things. So make sure to open questions, and you learn about this person so much more when you ask open questions rather than yes questions. And of course, a very important part of responding is to communicate back to them what they said. So you can paraphrase what they said and say, let me just make sure that I understood this correctly. What I heard you saying is A, B, C, D, D. Am I on the right track? Am I correct? Is that what you were trying to say? Did I understood you properly? Any sentence that you will say, but just verify that you understood what they're saying, for 2 reasons. You want to make sure you understood them correctly, and you also want them to know that you understood them correctly. So many people use the sentence, you know what I mean, right? Yeah. Well, if you don't verify, how do you know that the yeah is really what they understood that you were saying? It doesn't mean anything. It's a useless question. Did you understand what I mean? You know what I mean? So paraphrasing or summarizing what they said with the same words or with different words, but to make sure that they know you understood them. And step number 6 is respond to them in ways that empower them. So you don't want to pinpoint at them or show them immediately how they were wrong and you're right and so on. But, you know, in every person, in every situation, you can always find something to highlight, to compliment, a certain strength that they have, a certain positive sentence or attitude, or a possibility that is positive from what they said. So make sure to find something positive, something empowering. And of course, when you give them advice, don't just tell them how to do and that's it, what to do and that's it. But try to look at possibilities, open their way of thinking, allow them to expand their awareness, show them more possibilities. You know, my father was amazing when he gave me advice, because he knew what I was thinking or what I wanted, and he used to tell me, look, my job is to show you the 360-degree options, okay? So I'll show you all the options that you have, and then you will choose whichever one you prefer. And whichever one you prefer, and I'll tell you which one I approve more and which one I don't like at all, but my responsibility as your father is to give you the 360-degree options. And whatever you choose, I will be there for you. Even if it's something that I prefer, you wouldn't choose. And I learned this lesson from him, and it's so valuable. It is really, really valuable. So expanding the, bringing them to the point where they can see more options than the options that they were seeing at the beginning of the conversation. So this is so so important to expand the perspective and to give them the feeling that they are in a safe environment. Now, since we're talking today about responding, I created for you a free resource that you can download for free. And in it, I included more tips for you to practice on your responding skills so that you really can become a master communicator. You can pick it up for free over on my blog at olivia.com/for-download. I will leave for you a link above or below this video that will take you to my blog, or if you're already on my blog, just click on the big green button below the video and it will take you to the free resource where you will get a lot of tips on how to respond and become a master communicator. Question of the week. What responses have you noticed that you find beneficial? I would love for you to comment in the comment section below and to know what responses are you recommending. If you like this video and you feel it adds value to you, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends wherever they are in the world, and make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.